All right, party people, let's keep this one short and simple. A lot of times people ask me questions about overhead lighting. And overhead lighting is pretty straightforward, but there's some small rules that you should try to remember when you're doing overhead lighting. And sometimes it's dictated by the size of the actual light that you're using. So I'm going to at least make this video based off of the light that's in this image, which is Pro Photo with a Photech soft lighter. This is like a 50 something inch, whatever the largest size Photech soft lighter that they offer. This is probably your best modifier that you can buy for the price. One thing you're gonna notice is you have our lovely model. This specific scenario, my lovely model has really big hair. Love my drawings, right? And with that really big hair, if you put a light directly above her, you're gonna have a situation where it's just gonna create a shadow over the top of her face. So if the light was like right here, which would be directly over her, then all it's going to do is kind of basically illuminate the top of her head and then create a shadow that would fall on her face. And none of that is flattering or appealing. Now, obviously you could do that for like some type of effect or aesthetic, but that's not really my vibe. This is one of the rules that I have. I typically will have the light above my subject, and then I'll have the light slightly angled back towards my subject. So you can see how this, if it was flat or parallel to the ground, it would be like this, but I slightly have it turned in or up so that the light basically spreads like this instead of the light spreading like this. Right, so the blue line illustrates how the light actually is, and if it was straight up and down, then the light would be more like these red lines. And why I do that obviously is of course so that it can get around her hair, but as well as getting around her hair, I wanted to also make sure it illuminates her face. And I have like a silent player in this situation, which is my floor. My floor is actually white, so some of the fill that's going to kind of bounce back up from that floor help support me photographing her with the light from above like this. So the light's going to basically come all the way down here, hit the floor, and it's going to illuminate back upwards towards her body as well. So just kind of making sure that I have that light out in front of her slightly. So if I were to draw a line straight down, right, you could see how right above her, that's not where the light is. The light is slightly in front of her, right? And it's slightly angled back towards her. So automatically, really quick, that's two steps, or those two rules right there. It's slightly in front of her and it's slightly angled back towards her. Mainly because in this specific situation, she has hair and her hair is really big, and I want to make sure that the light gets around that big hair. But in general, what that does is it also helps to make sure that that light, while it's still coming from above, offers somewhat of a flattering aesthetic to the face. It's almost like a butterfly lighting, or if you were to think about it like clamshell, with the floor kind of being the support to the clamshell. Now, all of these rules change if the light source is larger. So in this specific situation, I think I said it was like 40 something inches, right? If you had like an 8x8 and the 8x8 was flying overhead, then you could have this light flying much closer to her, assuming that your light source that was lighting that 8x8 scrim or silk was diffused across the entire perimeter of that 8x8 silk. In this specific situation, because of the size of my modifier, I'm going to try not to have it too close because I want to give the light enough time to basically spread. For those of you that are a bit more advanced, think about the inverse square law. If you're familiar with the inverse square law, apply that to this specific situation, and you can kind of get an assessment of why I would have this light in the approximate area that it's in. If you're not familiar with the inverse square law, obviously you can leave a comment below and I'll give you more insight on it in a future video, or you could Google it. And I mean, right now, I'm sure there's something on Google that'll probably explain it even better than I could. So we'll flip over to one of the pictures. I'll show you how this all shows up and I'll get you out of here. All right, so let's look at this image. We'll zoom in. Again, now we know that the light is located above her because we already saw that in the behind the scenes image, and you can see how that highlight starts to show up on her forehead. It also kind of makes it into the pocket of the eye, which is what I really wanted. And because of how she angled her face, there's a little bit more light on this side than there is on this side. You can see that it kind of gets trapped under her neck, so then you get that darkness. But the ill part that I like about that top-down lighting is it kind of catches all of these certain areas on her collar and on her shoulder and everything, and I think that's dope. I also love how it shows you the variations in the depth of this dress. So it shows you how this is standing out, whereas right below it, it's a lot darker. So you know that it sticks out. And typically we know that depth in an image is seen better with shadows, right? Highlights and shadows. So seeing those shadows really kind of create the depth that we want to see. Same thing goes in our hair as well, right? I can kind of show you right here where that light is going, right? And then there's still that darkness under the shelf of the hair. And you can also notice, just really quickly, because I didn't put that light directly on, let me make this smaller. I didn't put that light directly on top of her head. So you don't get those super duper bright spots on the top of her edges of her hair that get blown out because the light is going to hit that first. Because I put that light slightly out in front of her, right, the light's gonna still shine down, and when it shines down, it's going to hit her face. And because, again, the inverse square law, think about it, it's going to affect that hair in a different type of way as opposed to if the light was directly top down. So technically, the top down that I'm telling you, the secret to that top down is that it's actually kind of like top front down, or top front angled back towards your subject down. But since that title is too long, we just call it top down lighting. That's it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Peace.